Let's say you log into the web application successfully, but when you try to access a specific page, you get access denied error. Now, what do you think? Is it authentication issue? I'll give you 5 seconds. Well, this is actually not an authentication problem because you were able to log in successfully. So it's actually authorization issue because your account doesn't have the required permission or roles to access that page. And that's what this video is about. We are going to talk about authorization because sometimes it can be confusing to identify which is authentication and which is authorization. So this will help you identify the type of vulnerabilities you're dealing with when you are writing a report or basically trying to identify it. So we're going to look at some reports as well for better understanding. First, let's start with the basic idea of what is authorization. Authorization is the process of granting or denying access to resources, systems, or data based on users' permissions. So it determines what actions a user can perform after authentication. Authorization is typically enforced using roles, policies, or access control lists. You must have heard about RBAC and OAuth. They are used to provide specific permissions to a user. So in a social media platform, authorization controls users' actions. Let's say a regular user can post and comment, while a page admin can edit and manage content. So the admin can remove content if it's not complying with the policies. And these are the functions of admin. But if a regular user can also remove content of other users, then there is improper authorization in it because the roles are not assigned properly in this case. So I hope you're getting the idea now. What is authorization? Let's move on to the first report, which is this one. So the issue here is also authorization related. It says email address of any user can be queried on report invitation GraphQL type when username is known. Let's scroll down a bit and read the root cause. It says HackerOne has an invitation system that allows program owners to send invitation to users for various purposes, such as invitations to hack on private program, claim bounties, be added to programs, among others. The invitation system allows users to be invited by email or by username. So if a user is invited by their username, the sender is not permitted to view the email address the invitation is sent to for user privacy. Of course, that should be the case. If I'm trying to invite someone based on their username, I shouldn't be able to see what email is related to that particular username, right? This rule has been guarded by HackerOne access control list in the REST framework, but HackerOne has been migrating these objects to GraphQL under a new protection layer. When exposing a new invitation object, the access control list rule previously applied wasn't implemented correctly to the new GraphQL protection layer. Okay, so they were using REST, but now it's GraphQL, but it was implemented incorrectly. Well, most of the time, this is indeed the issue. Let's scroll down a bit more. There should be some, yes, the GraphQL query. This is the query and this is the mutation because it is trying to perform an action that is sending an invitation to a user. Now this query here looks a bit confusing, so I'm going to give you a better version of this. Have a look at this code. Revoke credential mutation is the mutation here, or you can say an action that is trying to perform an action by sending invitation to a particular user based on their username. Here you can see report ID, email, and username are the variables. So this is the example values that is populated here just for the demonstration. And in the response, we get email and token. Now this is the vulnerable field because it shouldn't be returning this email field in the response since it exposes the email address of the user whom the request is sent to. So the easy solution here would be to just remove this. Something simple as this could be an issue. Back in the report, we can see that this is the particular response, and Here's the invitation, which contains fields such as email and token, and the email is revealed here. That is redacted in the report. Now, why it's called improper authorization in this case? It's because the program who sends invitation to users is allowed to do that based on the username which is publicly available. And they're not supposed to see the email address of the user. Only the user who owns the particular username can see their own email address, right? And no one else can see that. Program can also see that if they send an invitation, and that is because of the improper authorization in this case. You can also say it like improper authorization leading to information disclosure. So let's move on to another report. I guess we see a lot of Shopify reports. Anyways, this is Shopify admin authentication bypass using partners.shopify.com. Now this is interesting because it says authentication bypass, but in the report you can see the weakness is improper authorization. We will see why it's that. There is not much information in this report though, but I'll try to decode it for you as much as I can. Okay, this bug allowed a Shopify partner, a developer, or an agency to gain unauthorized access to merchant store without approval from the store owner. So you know what Shopify does, right? You can create your own stores, and you can also invite users who can manage your store, and you can give them permissions. So this is a normal flow. Now, if someone wants to collaborate on your store, they will send a request, and then as the owner of the store, you have to approve that request, and then they will get access to it, right? This should be the normal flow, but what happens in this case is the attacker create two Shopify partner accounts. Let's call them account A and account B. Now, both accounts use the same business email address. Now, the attacker used account A to request collaborator access to store. The request remained in the pending state, waiting for approval from the store owner. Now, here comes the faulty logic. Shopify's system had a feature that automatically converted an existing user account into a collaborator account if the email already had access to the store. So, if there is an email that is already invited to the store, it will automatically get converted into a collaborator account, or you can call a partner account. But however, it failed to check the account was actually approved or not. So even if the partner request is in pending state, it will still convert it automatically to the collaborator account. Let me explain it again. What happens is the user creates two separate partner accounts, account A and account B, using the exact same email address. Now, account A was used to officially request collaborator access to the store, but this request stays pending, waiting for the merchant's approval. Now, account B didn't send any request at all, but because it had the same email, Shopify system mistakenly thought, oh, the email is already involved with the store, so this other account must also be good to go. And then it automatically upgraded the account B to active collaborator, skipping the approval step entirely and giving all the permissions to account B to manage the store. And why this is not an authentication issue but an authorization issue? Because the system knew who was logging in, means the email was valid, but authorization failed because it didn't correctly verify if the user had permissions to be collaborator on the store or not. Okay, I hope this makes sense now. This one is a bit crazy report, I would say, and it took me a little while to understand this. I had to look at the docs to understand the normal flow of the how Shopify merchant thing works, but I hope this makes sense now to you as well. So let's move on to the third report and the last report, that is stealing users' OAuth authorization code via redirect URI. Some of you might be familiar with this scenario because it's a bit popular one when it comes to OAuth. So there is a path traversal vulnerability in the OAuth redirect URI parameter, which can lead to users' authorization code being leaked in any malicious users. So this is the OAuth URL. It has a client ID, the redirect URI, response code type, and the permissions, that is read. Okay, most are read permissions here, and write profile as well. So the path traversal vulnerability in the redirect URI parameter allows attacker to direct the user to product page created by the attacker. So this is the path that the attacker provided here. As you can see, // this is the path traversal payload over here, and this is the path to the product page that the attacker controls. In the end, it basically redirects to this URL. So if the attacker had Google Analytics enabled, the query string could be exposed when the victim is redirected to the product page, so the unused authorization code is leaked. Okay. These are the steps to reproduce. First, the attacker makes his shop public, register his products, and set up his Google Analytics tracking ID. And then have the victim click on the following link. The value of this trait parameter can be anything, okay? So it's not verifying that. Here's the client ID, the redirect URI that is modified, and everything else is same. Now when the victims click on this link and proceed with the login process, he's redirected to the attacker's product page and steals the authorization code. So we have a video here as well. I'm going to download this. This seems to be working, and we can see the authorization code is exposed in the URL. And obviously this is related to OAuth, so this one is pretty straightforward why it's called improper authorization. Okay guys, so that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and you can comment down your questions or which report you liked the most. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.